The following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. Nascar, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your host, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Yeah, gang's all here. Producer John on CRN Live on YouTube as usual. Matt's in studio. He'll join me here in just a moment. I'm Steve West, and we're ready to get into it. Plenty to do. Going to look back on Daytona, obviously, as the season opener came in. TV ratings and all. We'll discuss what the good and the bad and the ugly were from that particular weekend as well. Denny Hamlin thinks he's got a solution to super speedway fuel mileage racing. We talked a little bit about it during the Cross Flags podcast. We'll go over it again. Romain Grosjean has a new kind of old ride. Formula One's talking about their future scheduling. Both Formula One and IndyCar are in preseason testing mode, as is the NHRA, and the NHRA is busting through some speed records. Oh, shock among shocks. The IHRA has bought another facility. Yeah, I know we're all surprised by that, right? All that and much more on this edition of CRN. Next.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. Four tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome into the show. Appreciate you joining us. I'm Steve West. Matt Nicholson now joining me here. Good morning. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, but I'm here.
There you go. That's what we're all looking at. Kind of the same thing. Producer John on CRN Live on YouTube. He will, I'm sure, chime in as he feels it proper. So if you're on the chat on CRN Live on YouTube, say hi to him. I'm sure he'll be happy to respond at some point in time once he gets to get to that point. Let's talk about what happened last weekend on the track. And last Saturday, it actually began not here in the United States. First race was actually in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Formula E on the second half of their doubleheader weekend. Antonio Felix da Costa found his way back to victory lane, marks his first win with the Jaguar TCS racing team in the process. Started up front, near the front, third. Being aggressive in the use of the attack mode made it a relatively comfortable 2.5-second margin at the finish line. For Formula E, that's pretty comfortable, actually, because those guys race close.
Yep.
Da Costa wins. Sebastian Buemi working his way up from 7th place to 2nd in the end. Oliver Roland claimed 3rd, trailed by Eduardo Mortara, Dan Ticktum, Joseph Maria Marti, rookie, Mitch Evans, Pascal Wehrlein, Jean-Eric Vernon, last year's Rookie of the Year, Taylor Bernard, making up the top 10. As we leave Jeddah, Pascal Wehrlein leaves the weekend behind with the points lead, 68-62 over Eduardo Mortara. Oliver Roland holds 49 points for 3rd. 4th is 48. That's Nick Cassidy, and Mitch Evans with 47 makes up the top 5. Porsche leads your team standings, 113 points to 86 for Jaguar. Mahindra has 64. Then you got Citroen 58, 55 for Envision. Nissan up to 50. Andretti's got 39, 27 for Cooper Kiro. DS Penske is sitting at 22, and Lola ABT, 1. Yeah, 1. Ouch. Didn't you make a prediction during our bold predictions?
I did.
Yeah. And you basically, it was about them, right?
That they would not score more than 5 points all year. So
far, you're on it. Porsche also leads the manufacturer standings, 143 to 124 for Jaguar in second. Stellantis is up to 3rd with 87, 70 for Mahindra. Nissan holds 64, and Lola is on the board. They offer batteries to 2 different teams, so they have 16 points total. All right, so here we go. Later on Saturday, down in Daytona, O'Reilly Auto Parts Series kicked off the season at Daytona, and stop me if you've heard this one before. Austin Hill wins Daytona. I'm just going to stop myself right there because, good God. Think about this. His win in this season opener marks the 4th time in the past 5 years that not only does he know how to race in the World Center of Racing, obviously, the man just owns it, and RCR knows how to build the cars for him to get around the track. It doesn't matter what the rules are.
I think I'm going to plead the 5th on this one. Because it's almost, to me, it's like people are scared to gang up on him.
Yeah. You and I kind of talked about that during the Cross Flags podcast.
It's like they're scared to gang up on him.
Yeah. He'll get out front, and everybody just suddenly seems resigned to the fact that he's going to be the guy out front.
Yeah. It's
I don't know. I don't understand it either.
I don't either.
Hill led 78 laps in the process of claiming the win, bested Justin Allgaier, then Ryan Sieg, Jordan Anderson, Sammy Smith. The rest of your top 10, Ryan Ellis, Carson Kvapil, Blaine Perkins, Jesse Love, and Rajah Caruth. That group makes up the top 10, and since points largely match the top 10, we'll wait to start running down standings until next week. Speaking of which, we're going to do that with the Daytona 500 as well, but let's talk about the race. Kudos, first of all, for NASCAR doing a couple of things. First, they moved up the start of the race 1 hour in order to get the race in before the rain hit. And this is something that they have in their TV deal. The radio deal is much different. Radio is obviously a lot more malleable. They can move it around. TV is a little bit tougher when it comes to scheduling. So they've got a deal worked in with Fox, TNT, and NBC specifically. Amazon Prime has more adjustability. So it's probably in there just because they wanted to keep all the verbiage the same, but Amazon Prime is a little different from everybody else. But because of the scheduling for the cable and the main networks, they have it worked into the deal where they can move the race up or back an hour, and the network can't say anything about it. Not really. And that's what they did. And they got the race in, and as the celebration in Victory Lane was winding up and the teams were packing up and getting ready to go, the rain started to fall. So it worked out perfectly. So congratulations to them on that. That's kudo number 1. Mm-hmm. Kudo number 2, and you and I talked about it, as it happened, they took the white flag with cars spinning across the start-finish line there on the white flag lap, and they kept that caution flag firmly planted in their pocket. And I sent the text before they got to the checkered flag that said they kept it and did not fly it, and kudos to them for it.
Bravo, Tim Berman. It's about time for keeping your hand off the button.
No kidding. It was a race that was slowed by surprisingly only 5 cautions, a lot of laps for only the handful. By the way, NASCAR, do better on that. That's not a kudo. We're taking way too long to go from the point where we fly the caution to the point where we get back to green.
It's entirely too long. I mean, because stage cautions should not be 7 laps.
Yeah. And I get it. You know, radio and TV, they need to do their commercial breaks. But, folks, settle down. Let's get to some racing, shall we?
I'm going to take a page out of the iRacing book here. When you get to a speedway setup, anything that's over a mile and a half, when the pace car collects the field, super speedways, next time by 2 to green.
There you go. If you can't clean it up in that point in time, red flag it. Anyway, the other surprise is that they're actually, you know, when you think about the whole thing, that when it gets to the cautions, that there wasn't one despite the multi-car spin as the field took the white flag. All in all, 5 cautions, not a bad deal. Again, there's always the question of where would you want to be when you take the white flag. For Tyler Reddick, it really didn't seem to matter. He waited until he came off turn 4 to begin his move. He was kind of nowhere to be found before that. He was kind of up in the top 10, but nobody was really thinking about him. Second-year Cup driver Riley Earps tried a poorly timed blocking move on the outside as they were heading into the tri-oval, triggered a multi-car pileup as the checkered flag was flying. Reddick was able to get by, becomes the 25th different leader at the line, and a first-time Daytona 500 winner, the latest driver to lead just 1 lap, and that lap being the last lap in winning the race.
It was extremely well-timed move that he made.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree.
But I said this Tuesday when we recorded. If he times his run a little bit better, Riley Earps wins that race.
Agreed. Yeah, if they had made that move faster, Brad Keselowski just would have, quote unquote, collected him and pushed him to the front.
Yeah, he would have shoved them because you couldn't have. Well, trucks proved otherwise, but with the Cup cars, I don't think you could have got to the line 4 wide.
Kind of doubt it. Yeah. Tyler Reddick first, trailed by Ricky Stenhouse Jr., then Joey Logano third, Chase Elliott fourth, Brad Keselowski fifth, Zane Smith, Chris Buescher, Riley Earps, Josh Berry, Bubba Wallace. That means basically that everything after Tyler Reddick, it seemed like, they were spinning across the finish line, maybe going across backwards. But,
yep.
You know, that's what we do at Daytona and Talladega. All of this means that not only did 2311 Racing win the Great American Race, 3 of the team's 4 cars claimed a top 10 finish. The only one that didn't, the 67 of Corey Heim. Once again, his points largely matched the finish. Again, we'll start talking about those next week. So here's the slate this weekend, and it's all about Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta. Still getting used to that new name. It's a doubleheader today, weather permitting, and we're looking at the radar here, and we here in the state of Alabama are sending a lot of rain over to them. Craftsman Truck Series scheduled to get into the Freight Racing 208 starting at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 12:30 p.m. Central Time on the NASCAR Racing Network and Fox Sports 1. We have a hard out because of our radio affiliate here, our flagship station. They are a PRN and MRN affiliate, and they would get into qualifying coverage directly at 10 o'clock. So right at the end of our show, they would get into it. So, yeah, we got a hard out. Then it's the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, same track, getting into the Bennett Transportation and Logistics 250, airs on PRN Radio and the CW Network, starts 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central Time. Sunday Cup Series turn, slated to get into the Auto Trader 400 starting at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time, Fox and PRN Radio. The only other series we cover regularly that's in season is Formula E. We talked about they raced last weekend. They are off this weekend. You came across how NASCAR is going to plan to do this should today be a washout. Tomorrow looks better, cooler, but tomorrow looks better weather-wise. So if they have to, and understand, Atlanta's got lights. They could go into the evening time here and try and get at least one race in. But if they have to delay both, how does it shake out tomorrow?
I have seen that tentatively, and that is the key word here, tentatively, that if things are washed out today, that there would be a triple header tomorrow.
Whew. And you and I have done double headers. That's kind of a long day. To do a triple header is a long, long day.
And if it gets down to being a triple header setup, it would be O'Reilly race would be first, Cup would be second, trucks would be the nightcap.
There you go. All right. Like I said, tomorrow's weather does look better, cooler, but it does look better. So if it turns out that they can't get it in today at all, everything gets shoved over to tomorrow. Qualifying would go by points. So basically what you saw last weekend after Daytona is how they would line up today or tomorrow. By the way, when it comes to the Cup Series drivers, 2 drivers going to be without some personnel this weekend. The 3 in the 78 cars for the Cup Series failed pre-qualifying inspection not just once but twice, resulted in the 3 cars crew chief Ryan Chisholm being ejected. So Austin Dillon loses his car chief. The team loses their pit stall collection. The team car did pass, by the way, on its 3rd try through the inspection process. Then there's Live Fast Motorsports, the number 78. They failed twice. Their car chief, Ryan Henderson, was also ejected, so B.J. McLeod will have to deal without him. And they are an open team. They also lose pit stall selection. The 78 slated to go through its 3rd attempt at inspection this morning. If it fails again, it would sit out qualifying and have to do a drive-through penalty after the green flag tomorrow. PRN will update after we are off the air on all of that stuff. At least that was everything that I could find on it. So there you go. And before we go to break here, I want to talk about this story. And we talked about it during the Cross Flags podcast, but because of how important this family and this man was to this area, it bears repeating here. Mm-hmm. That we start off with the sad news of the passing of George W. Barber Jr. Barber, the son of George Warren Barber, the founder of Barber Dairies going back to the 1930s, built it up into being the largest dairy company in the state of Alabama. And I talked about this. While I was born in Boston, we moved from Boston to the Birmingham area when I was 5. So all of my primary schooling, my kindergarten, elementary, junior or middle school, depending on how you want to term it, in high school, were right here in the state of Alabama. And I'm going to tell you, every single school that I ate lunch at, kindergarten not included, when you got your meal and you got a milk, be it a regular or a chocolate milk, I was a chocolate guy, it was Barber. It was Barber every time.
Yep.
That's how big these guys were. They had the school contracts for basically every school in the state of Alabama, I think. Mm-hmm. They were huge. But younger George wasn't as big into the family business, at least initially. Grew up with a fascination of auto racing and actually was competitive for quite a while and was racing over in Europe before he had to turn his attention to coming back to the United States because he learned his father had passed away. He had to take over the company and turned his attention also to developing real estate to kind of expand things out. In 1998, as chairman of Barber Dairies, he ended up selling the business to Dean Foods, and then later in 2003, he established Barber Motorsports Park, included as a museum, obviously, that featured some of the motorcycles that he had started collecting all the way back to the 1970s. And it is now, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, the single largest collection of motorcycles in the world. Over 1,400 of them are on site, covering some of the very first motorcycles all the way up to modern-day examples. It was that collection that actually got Barber inducted into the Motorcycle Hall of Fame in 2014. The road course that he built on the property got the attention of the Indycar series. In 2007, they tested there. They tested again in 2009, and in 2010 decided they were going to go ahead and schedule a race on the 2.38-mile-long 17-turn track. It's currently listed as an FIA Grade 2 facility. Since then, the track and its surroundings have all been really, really credited with being called the Augusta of the racing world. And if you know anything about golf, you know that the Augusta golf course is considered to be one of the most, if not the most picturesque in the world.
Yep.
George Barber was 85 years old, dying of natural causes. We hate to hear it. I never had the pleasure of meeting the man, but everybody who I have heard that met George Barber has said basically the same thing. Despite the fact that he was born into some really, really good stuff, you know, it's not like he walked around feeling like he had a silver spoon in his mouth. He was a down-to-earth guy, really fun guy. Certainly was more than happy to take people out on the track that he built.
Yeah. Yep.
And I've said this. I've been through the Barber Motorsports Park one time. museum, specifically the motorcycle museum one time. I did it in 2007, and it was with my dad. My dad was down here that summer helping me and my wife paint my house. And we got done with it, and Dad wanted to go see the Barber Motorsports Park and the museum. So we went over there, and we checked it out, and we went from top to bottom. And I haven't been back since, despite the fact that I know that it's been updated, upgraded, and a whole lot of new stuff is over there. I haven't been back since because my dad passed away in 2008, the very next year. And that's a memory that I'll never be able to relive. And I kind of want to leave it that way. If you want to hear more about that, because I got a story about how at the very end we got to talking with one of the ushers there about a car that I saw, because there are some cars there. It's not just a motorcycle museum. It is the largest motorcycle collection on the planet, but there are cars there as well, and it has included some of George W. Barber's personal cars. And I put a story on there about an experience we had specifically with one of those cars. My dad and an usher talking to the man before we had to leave because we closed the place down. So yeah, feel free, check out Cross Flags. It's available right now on CRN Live on YouTube. You've been through the whole situation. I mean, you and I have been obviously over there doing stuff for the Indycar weekend the last couple of years. So
been to as many times as I've been to the track and been spectated there, I've actually never been in the museum.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you this right now. There are two museums / Hall of Fames that are worth checking out, and they're like the two tracks, Talladega and Barber Motorsports Park. They're about 40 miles apart. The International Motorsports Hall of Fame, despite the fact that they're no longer actively inducting members into it, is worth going into and checking out. Mm-hmm. Very much so. And then not that far away, Barber Motorsports Park and that motorcycle museum is definitely worth going and checking out. And I suggest you do it. That's the best way that I can really put it. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, one would think we've been tired of lawsuits, but nope, not yet. Got another story of a lawsuit, this time between Joe Gibbs Racing and a now former employee. We'll talk about the update on that, plus get into a whole lot of post-Daytona talk, including Denny Hamlin, who says he's got the idea for fixing the whole fuel mileage thing at Daytona. We'll see.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back into the show. Thank you for joining us, whether it is on the radio on the flagship station in East Central Alabama or on YouTube via CRN Live. We do appreciate it. Lawsuits. Tired of them.
Yeah.
But
And
here's
then
another
some.
one. Well, all right. So late last year, we talked about Joe Gibbs Racing. Well, let's go back a year and a half-ish. Not quite. Chris Gabehart was promoted by Joe Gibbs Racing out of the crew chief for Denny Hamlin role into the role of Joe Gibbs Racing competition director. It lasted a year. Chris Gabehart announced toward the end of the 2025 season he was going to be leaving to pursue other opportunities. And we started to speculate at that point in time where it might be. Could he move to another Toyota team? We figured Toyota might want to keep him. But at the same point in time, where else might he go? Spire Motorsports was one of those things that was really top of mind when it came to that. Spire is a part of this whole thing, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you want to talk about burning bridges? I'm not even sure this is burning it is correct. It might be more nuking it.
Possibly.
Yeah. Joe Gibbs Racing has filed suit against Chris Gabehart alleging, quote, a brazen scheme to steal JGR's most sensitive information, unquote, all to benefit a competitor, named in the lawsuit as Spire Motorsports. The suit, which was filed as most NASCAR-related suits are and have been in the same Western North Carolina District Court as that infamous antitrust suit that was finally settled last December, claims Gabehart violated his contract, stole team secrets when, quote, his demands for additional authority were rebuffed, unquote, by Joe Gibbs Racing, leading Gabehart to announce he was leaving. While the suit alleges Gabehart caused more than $8 million in damages to the team, that's what they're seeking in the suit. The suit does not, at least at this time, seek an injunction that would keep him from joining Spire Motorsports or any other team as a full-time employee. Gabehart was with Joe Gibbs Racing since 2012, joined as an engineer to begin with, worked his way up to crew chief, and as I mentioned, took the competition director role last year. Team states in the suit that while they were negotiating Gabehart's termination of employment, they learned he had been meeting with Spire Motorsports, which caused them to do an internal investigation and audit of Gabehart's company computer. They noted folders in there saved named Spire and past setups and a number of pictures of files containing confidential information. Gabehart said, and the team has not disputed, that he turned in his company laptop last November the 10th and has not been in the building since then, and that the offer to join Spire came actually November the 13th. Okay, the offer came November 13th. Chances are you were talking to them before that. Not that there's any, it's not, by the way, not illegal.
Had to have been.
Not illegal for you if you're seeking another job to go ahead and talk to other teams.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, there are certain things that you probably don't want to do, like take a whole bunch of stuff that you really shouldn't. You know, but if you are actively seeking other employment, yeah, I'm sure he was probably talking to him beforehand to lead up to the announcement that, oh, by the way, I'm going to be joining Spire Motorsports, with the announcement being made official November the 13th.
Yeah, this is... Reading through some of this stuff has kind of been confusing because there was something I read too. There was some form of an amendment made to his contract that they were wanting him to go to the 54 car and we're going to pay him $25,000 a week.
I'll do it for half that, Joe Gibbs.
I would do it for a fourth.
That's true.
I would crew chief the 54 for a fourth of that.
Yeah, be more than happy to.
I mean,
wow. The suit also claims Gabehart has been trying to get some Joe Gibbs Racing employees to make the move to Spire along with him. Spire has not commented nor announced the official hiring of Gabehart, just that the offer was made. And that was Gabehart, not Spire saying that. Gabehart initially didn't have a comment, but late yesterday afternoon put up a post on social media responding to the lawsuit. It read as follows, quote, yesterday afternoon, Joe Gibbs Racing filed a lawsuit claiming, falsely, that I shared Joe Gibbs Racing confidential information with Spire Motorsports and or other unnamed third parties. I feel compelled to speak out today and forcefully and emphatically deny these frivolous and retaliatory claims. I look forward to the opportunity to demonstrate to the court that I have not shared JGR's confidential information with anyone. In fact, I've already demonstrated that to JGR. A third-party forensic expert retained by JGR recently examined my laptop, cell phone, personal Google Drive, found no evidence to support the baseless allegations in JGR's lawsuit. We even offered JGR the opportunity to do a similar review of Spire's systems. This leads me to believe he's in that building.
Oh, yeah. He's in it.
JGR refused that offer and filed this spiteful lawsuit instead. Stay tuned. We will have much more to say in the legal response that we will be filing in the coming days. According to North Carolina law, Gabehart has 21 days from the initial filing, Joe Gibbs Racing's lawsuit, in order to file his legal response to the court. I would imagine they're working on that, and it'll probably happen sometime, I would say, before next weekend's show.
So you give them the open opportunity to go inspect everything at Spire, and you turn it down.
And then file a lawsuit claiming that you gave it to them.
Something don't add up.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, is it crazy that on a company-based laptop, if he did, that he would create a folder and name it Spire and be that brazen?
That would be absolutely crazy.
You know, I mean, past setups I get.
Yeah.
You've been a crew chief. You know, you've been an engineer. You've been a crew chief. You're the competition director. You should know about the past setups and what worked and what didn't. So that you can tell all four teams under the Joe Gibbs Racing banner, plus, I would presume, some conversation with 2311.
Sure.
Hey, this worked, this didn't. So the past setups I get. But to create a folder and brazenly call it Spire?
Yeah, I don't.
There are questions on both sides of this. And there are things that make you raise your eyebrow, and there are things that make you go, not really sure that I'm 100% behind you on that.
True.
So, welcome to lawsuit time, right? Yikes. We'll keep an eye on it. Speaking of lawsuits, Denny Hamlin, fresh off of that infamous lawsuit and feeling a little bit more powerful, came out after last Sunday's Daytona 500 and on his podcast for Dirty Mo Media said he thinks he's got a way to eliminate fuel-saving runs. Make the cars faster. We kind of went over this a little bit during the cross flag segment. Let's go over it again here. Hamlin said specifically, quote, "There is a way, but we're going to have to increase the speeds by a lot. You're going to have to make it where handling matters. It's going to spread the field. It's going to make it to where a little bit more like racing from the past." When he thought about it, he added this, quote, "As long as NASCAR's insurance company is okay with it," well, that's a massive hurdle. "You're going to have to speed the cars up because right now we're so planted in the racetrack that we can just run this legally tight pack." It would end the practice, he says, of plate racing that has been a staple of the Cup Series since the late 1980s. Hamlin concluded this by saying, quote, "You won't see any fuel savings. You're just going to see people hanging on. That would be the only fix." Now, his own employee at 2311 Racing, Billy Scott, crew chief for Daytona 500 winning driver Tyler Reddick, he wasn't really confident in this idea. He said, quote, "I doubt there's a fix to it because we're just going to figure out the next way to exploit it, and I don't know that it needs to be fixed. It'd be like asking if you need to change how chess is played."
I've got to disagree with Billy Scott because when you open everything up and you give everything, I'm going to call it full blast power, I don't see how you can exploit full blast power.
Okay.
You can't.
Now, this goes back to what I was mentioning earlier. We talked about this pretty in-depth on Cross Flags, so feel free to go back and check that out. We're not going to go over all of that once again. Here's the deal. Ever since they put the restrictor plates on, which are now what they call tapered spacers, NASCAR has set a benchmark of 200 miles per hour, and they don't want these cars to go over that. And it has led to some weird situations. We described the situation a couple of years ago at Talladega where we saw Chase Briscoe have to go into the pits out of sequence from everybody else. And because the lead pack was doing this fuel-saving thing, but Chase Briscoe had enough fuel and didn't have to worry about it, and he planted his foot to the floor, by himself, he was turning faster laps than the pack because they were saving fuel that much.
My stopwatch proved it.
Yeah, and he's doing photographer work, and he's doing it by a stopwatch. I'm up in the PA booth, and I'm literally looking at the speed chart and looking at it. And Chase Briscoe, for 2-3 consecutive laps, was doing at least a mile, if not a mile and a half per hour faster than the entire lead pack was doing, all by himself.
Which Talladega equates to about 3 to 4 tenths quicker lap.
Yeah, I mean, it was noticeable.
Yep.
Visually, and when I noticed it visually, I started paying attention to the speed chart, and sure enough, it bore it out. That is a problem. But the other situation is the fact that you and I have seen this, and anybody who's been a race fan long enough to watch NASCAR over the long term has seen this as well. At Daytona and Talladega, specifically, these drivers tend to get into a situation ever since the restrictor plates came in of finding a way where when things calm down, they just start to tick laps off. And the way that it used to be was they would go crazy at the beginning, try and get as much real estate as they possibly could at the start, and then they'd settle down, get themselves into a single file formation, generally up by the outside wall, and they would just run laps. Lap after lap after lap after lap.
Mm-hmm.
And you might ask yourself, well, why do it to the outside? Well, number one, they were probably comfortable doing it to the outside first. Two, if we're going to get prepared to run green flag pit stops, it's a heck of a lot easier to allow those guys and make it cleaner for those guys who want to do a green flag to go from the top line down to the bottom line, and that outside line can continue to go while the inside line suddenly breaks off and goes onto pit road, as opposed to some of the chaos that we have seen with these tapered spacers here in the last couple of years in this particular generation of car, where now they're ticking off the laps by going 2, 3, sometimes the Talladega 4 wide, and making it much harder to coordinate going down and getting onto pit road.
Right. I mean, the single file line method up top, what I'll call it. Plus, too, while you're in a single file line and just riding like that, your line of sight's better.
True.
So in case there's trouble, you got a better line of sight to get out of the way.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, super speedway racing is not meant to be fuel saving.
No, I agree. But, again, this goes back a long ways. Once they instituted the restrictor plates, which have turned into the tapered spacers, they have figured out ways of surviving it.
Right.
And this is just one of those things. We don't have to agree with it, and I don't, you don't. The vast majority of the people that I listen to on any kind of NASCAR-related show generally don't. NASCAR says they're trying to figure out solutions. I'm not so certain that Denny Hamlin's idea is the best one. It's an interesting one.
I think it is, and I'll repeat something that I said on the podcast. In the days of when, this is how I'm going to word it, in the days of when every single seat in the stand at Daytona and Talladega was full, what speeds were the pack running?
Oh, we still celebrate, for example, Bill Elliott's massive qualifying run of 212 miles per hour to this day.
200 plus.
And you and I have talked about the fact that I can't remember the exact year when it happened, that Rusty Wallace on a test session at Talladega took the restrictor plate off and ran it just to see what it would do.
2006.
Thank you. That was 2006. That's 20 years ago now. What did he run?
231 miles an hour. Because I remember being at the short track or something, and I heard the car over there. I heard the car.
Oh, you have to hear that.
And the words that come out of my mouth was, "Oh dear Lord, what is that?" And I'm listening and listening. I'm going, somebody is absolutely screaming over there.
Yeah.
And then I find out they were over there doing the test, and it was a racing and electronics test to see how the radios would hold up at 230 miles an hour. Check.
Yeah. Handled it fine.
I mean, run it. It's called inherent risk.
Yeah. I mean, we've mentioned the fact that, for example, Indy 500, 2.5 mile race course, very little banking, squared off. It's a rectangle, but still. And those guys are starting to press 240. I don't see IndyCar going, hey, we need to put restrictor plates on these things. We need to drop the speed down.
It's called I will I will, in the words of Barney Fife, nip this in the bud here on this one. This philosophy, and it's motorsport. Motorsport is supposed to be about speed. It's inherent risk. If you climb through that window and you latch that strap on that 5-point harness or 6-point harness, whatever you have, or climb over in that tub of the Indycar and strap yourself down, or for that matter, climb over into a funny car or top fuel car, latch yourself down.
Doesn't matter what the race car is.
You are taking that known inherent risk by doing it willingly yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's about speed.
Yeah.
You don't see anybody that's within the NHRA or IHRA going like, "Oh, we don't need to stay under 300." No, they're itching and scratching and clawing to get over 330.
Oh, we have an update on that coming up during the NHRA news portion of the show, by the way.
So let them drive. Let them drive. That's simple.
I get it. We don't want to have somebody pass away. But the truth of the matter is that as much as we rue the day 25 years ago, almost to the day, 25 years and 3 days ago, that Dale Earnhardt lost his life in a crash at Daytona. In a way, it was necessary for us to understand how to make this sport safer. It's never going to be safe. No pro sport is safe. Pro football and college football now are all looking at this whole CTE situation because of how hard people are hitting when it comes to their heads. Basketball, hockey, the wear and tear on the body for being on skates, on hard ice, or a hard basketball court ain't easy. And in baseball, let's face it, you've got pitchers who can throw 100 to 105 miles per hour. If that hits a batter in the wrong place, that's a death sentence. And then you get these batters who are swinging for the fences, literally, every chance they get, to the point where we have seen where a hit ball velocity becomes an actual factor that we hear about on screen.
Right.
And these guys are hitting baseballs screaming off the bat at 120 plus miles per hour.
Yep.
There are inherent dangers in all sport. Motorsport's one of them. Partially why we and you, the listener/viewer, are fans. It's the inherent danger, and we like it. You know, pro rodeo wouldn't be a thing if we didn't want to have to take a chance.
Nope.
For that matter, Disneyland, Disney World, Orlando, Six Flags, none of those would be in existence if there wasn't some sort of thrill out of going and riding on a roller coaster.
Yep.
Something to think about.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
Talladega Short Track, affectionately
go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
It's funny. Everybody's got thoughts. Nobody has any real answers except for Denny Hamlin, and for some reason, everybody wants to automatically dismiss it. But, looking at the chat that we've got going on right now on CRN Live on YouTube, put the car back in the hands of the drivers. The drivers will limit themselves. If they don't want to run 220, 230, or 210 for that matter, they won't. They'll back out. You know this. You're a driver.
You have to go with the old golden rule and the old adage: take what the car gives you.
Mm-hmm. But if you put the car in the driver's hands, they're going to run it to its limit, and to the point where they feel that they're limited. They'll limit themselves.
If it gives you 190, take 190.
Mm-hmm.
If it gives you 225, take 225.
Yeah, if you're comfortable doing it. If you're not, maybe you're in the wrong business.
Yep.
Just throwing it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Denny Hamlin and the investigation into the fire at the house that was owned by a Denny Hamlin-owned holding company that resulted in the passing of his father has somewhat I guess, officially concluded. Investigators determined that the fire was accidental, but they say they have yet to determine the actual cause of the blaze. House is a total loss. Almost $800,000, I think they said?
Mm-hmm.
Reports claim that some of Hamlin's racing memorabilia and some of his classic cars were able to be saved. However, Denny's father, Dennis, 75 at the time of his passing in December, was known to have a chronic lung condition. He wasn't able to make it out. Denny's mother, Mary Lou, did survive the fire. For a time, she was in a burn center in North Carolina for injuries sustained in the fire. She has been since released. She was actually in attendance at the Daytona 500 with Denny, but she does continue her recovery and some therapy on an outpatient basis. Our prayers continue to go out to her and her continued recovery. And, of course, it's very tough losing your partner of many, many years. It is interesting to note that they can state, quote-unquote, categorically that it's accidental, but they still haven't actually figured out the exact cause of this fire.
If I had to guess, it was probably being that cold at the time of the year that it was up there, probably something got too close to a space heater and ignited.
Yeah, we've seen that,
And
unfortunately,
it
too many times.
Way too common.
Yeah, unfortunately. Back to on-track stuff. Blaster or Blaster Holdings, parent company of noted automotive brands Blaster and Gunk, returning to NASCAR partnership. They're joining Spire Motorsports, specifically with driver Michael McDowell. They're going to serve as his primary sponsor for 2 races on the number 71 Chevrolet this season. You can see the Blaster look right now. The 2 races this weekend in Atlanta, where they're going to run that look, if you're on CRN Live on YouTube. And then when they come to Talladega, the first of this season's 2 Talladega races, the Gunk brand will be highlighted there. Don't have a picture of that. I haven't seen it yet. But, hey, welcome back to NASCAR.
It's a sharp car.
It is. You're not going to miss it. That's for sure. TV ratings for Daytona are in. And for the 500, Fox Network averaged 7.5 million viewers, according to Nielsen, using what they call a people meter. This is a new model, combines household panels, in other words, people who are willing to fill out a survey card and turn it back in, or people who are willing to grab from Nielsen an actual box, connect it to them, and through Wi-Fi and data and the internet, turn all of their particular viewing needs, at least on one particular television, over to Nielsen. It takes that along with data that is installed in cable boxes in some of them and smart TVs to see what is being watched in some 45 million households and some 75 million devices. Privacy is right out the window, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just letting you know.
Yep.
Either way, this number is up from the 2025 race. Now, to be fair, it was rain delayed. If we talk about the last non-delayed Daytona 500, the numbers are down. That 2023 race that went off as scheduled claimed almost 8.2 million viewers on average. This one was moved up an hour, but it didn't seem to affect it a whole lot. The good news here, in peak viewership, which came during the final laps of the race between 5:30 and 5:45 p.m. Eastern time, showed that about 9.15 million people tuned in. So it's strong. It's not as good as it has been, but it has been a heck of a lot worse. That's for sure. So, take it and run with it, NASCAR.
As the old song goes, ain't as good as I'm going to get, but I'm better than I used to be.
Yep. Thank you, Toby. Partnership between Rebel Bourbon and Richard Childress Racing driver Kyle Busch, resulting in a new Rebel Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey single barrel. Showing the picture of the bottle right now on CRN Live on YouTube. As selected by Kyle Busch. It's going to be available soon in stores. Might actually be available now. With assistance from Rebel Bourbon's master distiller, John Rempe, Busch hand-selected each and every barrel used for this limited edition version. Its result is a 108 proof version. 108 proof, by the way. Proof is double the number of the actual alcohol by volume. So 54% alcohol by volume. That will be featuring in bottles with specific labels that you can see right there that celebrate the relationship with Kyle Busch. Shows his number 8, a copy of his signature, and the Richard Childress Racing logo over a checkered flag look on the bottom of the label on the front of the bottle. According to them, the Rebel Kyle Busch 108 single barrel is aged 4 years for a robust but smooth flavor. The company says it will go on sale with a minimum suggested retail price set at $39.99 per bottle, 750 milliliter bottle, and will go up from there.
Well, 108 proof, that's called knocking you in the dirt.
Sure. Welcome to bourbon. I'll be honest with you. I have gotten to the point where I kind of like bourbon. Just going to be an adult here and let you know. I've gotten to the point where I actually have kind of acquired the taste for bourbon, and I kind of want to go check that out. So I'm going to be looking for it.
Y'all can have that.
You're not convinced, huh?
Y'all can have it.
All right. Let's see here. Let's switch down from the Cup Series to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. AM Racing has hired former NASCAR race director Jusan Hamilton as their team president. Hamilton, who joined NASCAR as an intern in 2012, left and then returned to NASCAR in 2016, worked his way up through the ranks to the role of race director before he was let go towards the end of last year. You and I have...
Alpha Prime.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, with Alpha Prime. Got it.
My bad. I did say AM Racing, and that's mine. My bad. Alpha Prime Racing. You and I know a little bit about this gentleman. We'll just leave it at that, shall we? Mm-hmm. We had our disagreements with him when he was in the role of race director. Mm-hmm. Hopefully he does better as president. Mm-hmm. To DGM Racing and Jesse Iwuji Motorsports. These two sides have been working together kind of on and off over the last couple of years and decided to extend their partnership into this season. So the two sides are going to field 2 full-time Chevrolets. You got the number 92 Chevrolet driven by Josh Williams. Then the number 91, which will feature a roster of drivers that's going to have Mason Maggio taking most of the turns behind the wheel and then kind of a roster of it. And we're going to show you the two cars here in just a moment as they're going to look this weekend at Echo Park Speedway over in Atlanta, 92 and 91. Technically, the 91, again, is a Jesse Iwuji Motorsports car, but fielded with the help of DGM Racing. Football Hall of Famer Emmett Smith, who's the co-owner of Jesse Iwuji Motorsports, said, quote, "Our journey with Jesse Iwuji Motorsports and DGM Racing has always been about pushing limits and inspiring others. We bring great people together and aim to do great things. Extending this partnership means we'll be delivering that on the same passion on and off the track, and we're excited about the strength of our 2026 driver lineup and program." Again, the only one that I know of right now is Mason Maggio, and he's not full-time.
The races that Carson Quapple does not have in the one car, he will be in the 91. I saw that last week.
All right, that's a pretty good pull.
And I'm hoping to the good Lord above that when he's in that car, that is a JRM prepared car.
Would be a really good thing. Mario Gosselin, who's the owner of DGM Racing, said about it, quote, "DGM Racing and Jesse Iwuji Motorsports share a commitment to excellence. 2026, we poised to reach new heights together, driven by teamwork and a shared vision for success. The addition of Josh in the number 92, Mason anchoring the number 91, gives us a strong foundation across both cars. Again, additional driver announcements and sponsorships will be announced as the season rolls along. Again, Carson Quapple seems to be taking several turns behind the wheel, so that's a good thing here. Does that count for the whole season? I don't know. We'll find out, hopefully, soon. Something that was just announced last night, Haas Factory team announced just yesterday they've signed a partnership with Road Ranger. That's a Midwest-based chain of travel stops. They're going to be back with the team and driver Sheldon Creed for 13 races this season on the 00 Chevrolet. Starts this weekend at Echo Park Speedway. Extends a partnership that has the brand on the 00 of Creed for 14 races just last year. So congratulations to them on keeping that going.
28 minutes ago, social media post comes out from Bob Pockris. Spire Motorsports confirms Chris Gabehart has been hired as Chief Motorsports Officer. Beyond that, no official comment on the lawsuit. Then they are focused on their Hendrick Alliance and continuing to improve their performance.
That sounds about right. One more note here, and then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a break for top of the hour, get into the second half of the show here. The final note here, back to Daytona and TV numbers and to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Year 2 of their deal with the CW network continues to pay benefits to them as well. Saturday's season opener pulled in an average of 1.81 million viewers. That's about the same as in 2025. Peak viewership slightly higher than last year, 2.32 million. That's towards the end of the race as well, kind of like the Daytona 500. It is interesting to note, this isn't necessarily comparing apples to apples, I get it, but you think about, for example, the number that the CW network posted for this year's season opener versus the 2025 championship race at Phoenix. Remember, we were crowning a champion for the 2025 season in a pretty exciting race where 3 junior motorsports cars were taking on 1 Richard Childress racing car. Turned out the Richard Childress racing car won. Spoiler alert. If you didn't already know that, sorry, that's on you, not me. We covered it plenty. The viewership increase for Daytona versus Phoenix last year for a title race, viewership jumped 79%.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I get it. It's Daytona, and we're loving the fact that racing's back, and auto racing enthusiasts are all about it. And man, in watching, for example, things like the Super Bowl,
mm-hmm.
where they promoted the daylights out of both the Daytona 500 and the upcoming IndyCar season. Congratulations to Fox for actually paying as much attention to NASCAR, it seems, as they did IndyCar last year. Mm-hmm. That's another story entirely. But I can tell you right now that Nexstar, which owns the CW network as a TV holdings company, they've done an amazing job, too, in promoting the fact that this is there. And people are going there. But why was the number so low for Phoenix? Again, a title race.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say why it would be that.
I have no answers. I don't know. It's kind of strange. I know that there was a lot going on. I get that. But I'll add this. Putting the Xfinity / O'Reilly Auto Parts series on the CW network has stabilized the viewership.
Yeah.
At a number that this series has never seen before on average.
Yep.
They averaged last year over 1 million viewers.
Mm-hmm.
It has never averaged that before.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to them, but man, the difference between a championship race and a season opening race this year, mind-boggling. I don't understand it. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a rookie who's going to take a turn later today at Atlanta, weather permitting. The dude's 46. What, 46-year-old rookie? Stick around. Details are right after this.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Cross flags have indeed shown. Second half of the race, or show in this case, is underway, and we're talking Craftsman Truck Series now. 46-year-old rookie?
There's still hope.
Yep. Yeah, there is. It's what we're going to see. Adam Andretti, yes, of those Andrettis, has taken the wheel of the Tricon Garage number 5 Toyota. He will be behind the wheel for 5 races this year, starting later today in Atlanta. We'll talk about his qualifying role in a minute because qualifying was yesterday. Other races slated to be St. Petersburg, Watkins Glen, and San Diego, with one race yet to be determined.
I'm sure that'll be Lime Rock.
Probably. He is an experienced road course racer, has 8 wins in the Trans Am Series. He finished second in the points in the series in both 2014 and 2015. As for stock car experience, it's kind of limited to 1 Arca Menards West Series start back in 2016 and 2 NASCAR Canada starts in 2017. How is he involved in the Andretti family? He is the son of Aldo Andretti and is the late John Andretti's brother. Makes him a nephew to Mario and cousin to Michael, Marco, and Jeff.
Okay, got a problem here.
Okay.
I'm all for people coming into series and getting starts, new names.
Sure.
Don't have a problem with that. But if we're gonna have this massive rigmarole of approval processes and people getting approved to run these trucks or stock cars, why is somebody that has 1 ARCA West start in a stock car and 2 NASCAR Canada starts
A decade ago, by the way.
Getting to make their truck series debut at what is considered a super speedway race?
That is a good question.
I don't understand it. If you got a process of rules and you knew before Daytona that he was going to be running in Atlanta, he should have been in that field in the ARCA race.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guarantee you, if he gets out there and something goes wrong and he's involved in it, fingers are going to get pointed.
Yeah.
Why is Adam Andretti in the field? He hadn't run a super speedway race. Okay. Like the problem that I have with them fussing about Garrett Mitchell. Okay. Garrett Mitchell, better known as Cletus McFarland.
Sure.
Garrett, he wrecked out and I'm going to point Freddie Kraft out on this one. Oh, he wrecked out of 2 super speedway races. No, he did not wreck out of both super speedway races. He finished Talladega top 10 on 7 cylinders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He finished that race. Daytona wreck was not his fault because Amber Balkan couldn't keep it above the yellow line in a straight manner. She wrecked around him twice and took him out the second time.
Yeah.
All
so,
right.
yes, he may have wrecked out, but it wasn't his fault.
He may have wrecked out, but it wasn't his fault. All right. He's ran stock car. He by definition of the rule, if you successfully clean a super speedway ARCA race or ARCA test, all right, you're approved to run trucks at the next level at any size track.
Mm-hmm.
If it applies to one person, it applies to the other, because they cleared Mini Tyrell in the ARCA test.
Yeah.
The truck race was before the ARCA race.
So they couldn't do it in the race because
the whole entire approval process is a joke. Because
I don't disagree with that.
Rules apply to one person, but different set of rules apply to somebody else. It's not rules for thee, not for me. It's supposed to be rules for thee, rules for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's in black and white for a reason.
I mean, if I'm going to, let's just hypotheticals here. If Tricon calls me and says, hey, let's use this scenario here. Tricon calls me and says, hey, we got 2 trucks open coming up for Talladega. We want to create this whole entire atmosphere of 2 family members driving for the same team. Okay?
I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, everybody knows where I'm going with this. He drove for him last year, Brett. He drove for Tricon in the 1 truck at Talladega last year. We want to put you in the 5 truck. Okay, that's fine. I've got a sponsor. I've got a sponsor that's willing to come with me, and I'm going to throw a name out there. I'm going to throw out it's a local company. It's got a local. It's a local company. It's got a local branch. Okay, Thompson Caterpillar. They said they'd come on with him. All right. Well, we got to get you through the approval process. Perfect. Pair me up with Nitro Motorsports and put me in an ARCA car at Talladega to let me get approved.
Sure.
I will run an ARCA race and not blink an eye, just so I get approved and I'm doing it the right way. So I can't have somebody say, well, he didn't do this or he didn't do that. I followed the proper steps and protocols that are set forth in the rule book of getting the approval to run A, B, or C track.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know how they ended up approving Adam for this.
I'm very curious to know.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know.
The road courses, that's irrelevant. That's out of the picture.
But he's running a super speedway.
But you're
race.
running what's considered a super speedway. There's my question mark.
Yeah.
Now, that's not me discrediting his driving ability, because he out-qualified every other Tricon truck entered. He's starting 8th in the truck race.
Which is an interesting thing to note.
And I'm not buying the aspect of the first time he sat in the truck was yesterday, because you've got to fit the seat somehow.
True.
You can't fit a seat and have the seat mold set up at the track.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
The way these race seats are set up nowadays, these things are molded to the driver.
Exactly. They're molded, but like you're sitting in your own lazy boy with a throttle.
Yeah. There's no such thing as a universal racing seat in this
No.
situation. We'll see. Maybe it'll get explained. Maybe we'll never find out. Who knows? One final note when it comes to the Truck Series and Fox Sports, again, talking TV ratings, touting that this year's Craftsman Truck Series race pulled in the most amount of viewers that the series has seen in a decade. 1.387 million people watched the race on average, the highest number since the 2016 season's opening race. And at its peak between 9:45 and 10 p.m. Eastern Time, again towards the end of the race, viewership jumped to over 1.6 million viewers, easily besting last year's 1.014 million viewers, 37% jump in that situation. So numbers are up. Again, this is Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what happens at Atlanta. That's going to be a bigger tell. We get very excited about the season opener. We get very, very excited about opening day in Major League Baseball. And we all watch the games on opening day of Major League Baseball, and then 161 games later, how excited are we?
Mm-hmm.
So we all get really excited about NASCAR opening the season at Daytona. Race number 2, do those numbers hold?
Yep.
That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's shift to Formula One here, where they have instituted some new rules for engines to be used in the series this year. But as the old saying goes, you don't read the rule book for what is in there, you read it for what isn't. And Mercedes read it for what isn't and found something that wasn't. And they've exploited the loophole, but other race teams are complaining, and they're complaining loudly. So Formula One and the FIA are set to meet and vote on a potential ban that would take effect mid-season to ban the Mercedes design. So what's the controversy? You may have heard us talking about this before. According to the allegations, Mercedes found a way to, when the engine is cold, meet every single regulation to the letter. But when the engine is hot, read under race conditions, the compression ratio ends up running higher, resulting in higher horsepower. What does higher horsepower mean? More speed. The FIA has not been able to test for those accusations until this week, and now the FIA officials have said that they have, quote, collaboratively developed a methodology, good God, to quantify how the compression ratio changes from ambient to operation temperatures. Okay.
I know.
Mercedes and 4 other engine manufacturers, who are identified as Red Bull, Ferrari, Honda, and Audi, will be voting along with FIA and Formula One management officials to decide whether a representative testing temperature of 130 degrees Celsius, translating to 266 degrees Fahrenheit, should be used as the measuring stick instead of checking it when they're cold. And this would start August 1st and from that point on. Should 5 of the 7 vote for it, and I can guarantee you're going to have 4 automatically, Red Bull, Ferrari, Honda, and Audi will all vote for this. It will carry and effectively gives Mercedes 13 races to use whatever advantage they have to run out there as much as they can and those 13 same races to be able to fix their situation to make sure that when the new test came in, their engine would test legal.
Piston rings.
Here's the thing about this. Again,
Piston rings.
said it at the beginning. You don't read the rule book for what is in there. You read the rule book for what isn't.
Mm-hmm.
They found a loophole. They exploited it.
If the material in the piston rings, if that material in the piston rings expands, it expands out to compress into the cylinder wall,
Mm-hmm.
and the cylinder wall gets that more compression on the downstroke and the upstroke.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Results in more power. Isn't that really what we're trying to do? We're trying to be innovative in this, in motorsports. Not just in this series, but in all the motorsports. We're trying to be innovative.
But if that piston ring it meets the diameter and measurements of what's in the rule book, don't matter what it's made out of.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. This is the same situation that every other team could use.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes chose to use it. The other teams chose not to, and they're complaining about it and saying, hey, it should be banned.
Mm-hmm.
Not according to the rule book. Mercedes found the opening that you guys didn't find and or choose to use. That's on you. Sorry, I'm not really all that worried about it. Here's another part of it that I want to bring to you, and we're about to show you a picture here. Is what Ferrari has done with their rear wing. The final day of testing in Bahrain, they debuted what they called a rotating rear wing. Under the old DRS system, now a driver hit a button on the DRS zone, the top flap of the rear wing would flatten out, the allow wind to go through the wing made the car faster. If you're looking at CRN Live on YouTube, that would be the Wednesday look. That's effectively what the DRS did. It took the top flap of the rear wing, just jumped it up, flattened it out, allows air to go through there, and you go a little bit faster, right? Mm-hmm. But you notice that there's a difference between the Wednesday and the Thursday. Number one, there's no center strut there. Okay. Number two, instead of being under, it looks to kind of go over as far as the basics of it. You want to know why? It doesn't just pop up. It actually rotates like the last Corvette headlight systems when they had the hidden headlights. It didn't just pop up. They actually rotated out and over. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, the DRS system is done at the end of the 2025 year. F1's now calling this the active aero system, pretty much the same as DRS, but closely regulated by FIA and race stewards. The rules don't necessarily state how the wing gets deployed, so Ferrari's take on it has the wing rotate 180 degrees to go from the position where it's in place and has all the downforce to the point where it's up and allows the air to go through. Truth be told, I don't know whether there's a major benefit to this, but they said that the purpose of the rear wing to act as normal around the majority of the track, rotating at 100 degrees not only creates the same opening through it, but it might actually create a little bit of a lift, drops the downforce of the car, which it would naturally make its speed. Did it help? We're not 100% certain because Lewis Hamilton suffered a problem not related to the rear wing, got very little actual at practice speed time. But one would think, I mean, downforce to a certain extent is kind of an enemy of speed.
Oh, yeah.
So if you could create a little bit of lift and kill some of the downforce, shouldn't that make the car technically faster?
Theoretically, it should.
I mean, I wouldn't think by a whole lot.
But the way Formula One and all those series are looking for time down to the thousandth, theoretically, a little bit could be the difference.
Yeah. I mean, if this, as you mentioned, they're looking for time related. If this gains Ferrari a 10th, that's a big jump. And if it gains them anything more, that's even better.
If it gains them 100th, that's a jump.
True. So, and again, we go back to the part that I led this Formula One segment off with. You read the rule book for what isn't in there, not what is. They found a way to do this that they feel is under FIA and Formula One regulations. Now we'll see whether or not FIA and Formula One do anything about it.
Because when you go look, okay, Ferrari, and when you look at that photo, you see which car it's on.
Mm-hmm.
Leclerc.
Yeah.
The second test, day 3 classification, Charles Leclerc is on top at a 1:31.992.
Okay.
Time-wise. Lando Norris is P2, 0.8 of a second behind them. 0.879 off the pace. So that means he's at a 1:32.7.
Yeah. And we can state this because I've kept up with it. McLaren has been at or near the top of the speed charts every single test session that we have seen, whether it's Bahrain or Barcelona, leading up to that. Ferrari has been top 5, sometimes top 10, sometimes top 5, but not anywhere near number 1 until that.
Verstappen third, 1.1 seconds off. Russell fourth, 1.2 seconds. Gasly fifth, 1.42. Berryman sixth, 1.49. Bortoleto seventh, 1.76. Antonelli eighth, 1.92. Lindblad ninth at 2.15. Sainz 10th, 2.35. Piastri 11th, 2.36. Ocon 2.5. Hadjar 2.51. Bottas 3.29.
Cadillac's got work to do.
Hulkenberg 4.02. And Perez, we're not even going to say.
Yeah, it's getting worse. Cadillac's got work to do. That's obvious. We can sit there and say that. But yeah, did this help? It appears to on the surface. We'll see. Got some scheduling drama here. We'll talk about this here, and then we'll take a break. There's now one less place on the F1 schedule in the near future. Spain has actually 2 races coming next year. Barcelona's Catalunya circuit was slated to drop off the schedule after the season in favor of downtown Madrid street course, but now a new deal signed over the past weekend has the course remaining in F1. What they're going to do is a 1 year on, 1 year off deal. You might ask what takes the place in the years that it is not on the slate. Well, Spa, actually, they have been wanting to kind of back off a little bit, and they've got a new deal where Spa will be on the F1 scheduled in the odd-numbered years of 2027, 2029, and 2031, and 2028, 2030, at least. Barcelona will be on that schedule instead of Spa. Both tracks are on the schedule this year, but next year they start that one on, one off. And then there's the idea of the sprint races. And if you like the sprint races that F1 has had the last few years, you're in luck. F1 officials looking at upping the number from the current number of 6 to about a dozen. So here's the question. If 6 is a good thing, is doubling that number too much of a good thing, or is that about the right number considering they're running 24 races a year? Can you have too much of a good thing, I guess, becomes the other question.
I say doubling wouldn't be that bad.
Okay. Is there a limit, or would you not care if they decided to put a sprint race at all 24 events?
I don't care for it at every event.
Okay. So there is a limit to you.
Mm-hmm.
But a dozen seems okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we haven't hit Matt's limit yet, so there you go. It's the old situation of negotiating a price. Right. If I offer you $1 million for something and you say, I'd be interested, and then I turn around and offer you $10,000 for it and you freak out about it, here's the deal. We've already established you're willing to sell it. Now we're just working on the price. In this case, we've already established you're willing to have X number of sprint races. Now we just got to figure out how many you want. Mm-hmm. That's it. Liberty Media, the American commercial rights holders of the series, have found out that sprint races do seem to have gained interest of the fans. We'll find out maybe next year whether or not they do have too much of a good thing. F1 President Stefano Domenicali said, quote, the reason why we started to discuss the number of sprints and maybe a different format is because of the feedback we've gotten from the fans and the promoters. People want to see real action during the 3 days. So already on Friday, people want to see something sporting, qualifying, whatever. Even if it's not a sprint weekend, there's a trend of wanting to have something different. We're thinking to keep each and every day that we're on the track relevant. So instead of just doing 3 practice sessions and a qualifying run, you get 3 practice sessions, qualifying run, a sprint race, and another, and then the main race.
Right.
At the very least.
Right.
All right. Get your money's worth anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Take a break. When we come back, we mentioned the fact that Cadillac may need some help. Thing about it is, they know it. It's year 1. They understand growing pains are coming in. But they're using Ferrari engines. We're still wondering when they're going to get to their own engines. Dan Towers got to talking about it. We'll talk about it next.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. Racing Network.
Talking a little Formula One at this point in time. I'm Steve West along with Matt Nicholson in studio and on camera on CRN Live on YouTube. Producer John working all the stuff behind the scenes and occasionally participating in the chat. Talking about Cadillac. We just talked about the testing at Bahrain. Pretty far down on the speed charts. So there's work to be done. You and I both think that they're going to overcome that, by the way. If you checked out the cross flags, not this past week, but the week before that when we did some bold predictions for the 2026 season, both Matt and I did choose Cadillac as being able to get that ship righted and do good stuff this year. So we'll see whether or not our prediction comes true. Again, it's a bold prediction. What do you want? As they prepare for their first year, though, they are still looking ahead to their future where they become a full works team. Again, everything is being done right now in-house, save the power plant, the power unit.
Right.
Their engine and hybrid system, and I think the transmission, are all Ferrari. Kind of like Haas F1.
Yes.
They are wanting to debut their own in-house engine program. Initial date that the team targeted was 2029. It was asked at the most recent test session if that was still the date. Dan Towers, who was over in Bahrain for it, TWG Motorsports boss, said this, quote, "We are really following the conversation on the regulations closely. It's possible the regulations could change before 2031. It's possible they don't change before 2031. Regardless of the funding, I think it's important we see a Cadillac power unit on the grid as soon as possible." So that's really the main focus from my standpoint. If there are ways to speed it up, we will. But right now, the focus is still 2029. So we got to get through 3 seasons of Cadillac running Ferrari power before they can do a full Cadillac Works team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. See how it goes. Well, we talked bourbon just a little while ago. How about we talk tequila now? But when is tequila not really tequila?
Well,
Yeah, leave it to Sir Lewis Hamilton. Let's say you like the taste of tequila, but you're not big on consuming alcohol. It's kind of like zero alcohol beer, I guess. You like the taste of beer, but you don't want the alcohol content?
okay.
All right. Lewis Hamilton might have the answer for you in his Almave, I presume I'm pronouncing that right, brand of non-alcoholic Blanco tequila. It's also now easier to get. The brand has struck a deal with Target. They'll be sold at all Targets across the United States of America. Hamilton co-founded his brand in conjunction with Casa Lumbre master distiller Ivan Saldana, markets as an alternative to those who like the taste but not the alcohol that tequila generally has. Thought that was the idea behind tequila. The brand initially launched in late 2023, grabbed the attention of Pernod Ricard as the non-alcoholic drink market seems to have found its footing in carving its own niche. Not sure how much non-alcoholic, quote-unquote, alcoholic drinks are actually doing as far as percentage of the market. Is it 5, 10%? I don't know. Almave Blanco will begin making its way into Target stores as the 2026 year rolls on, set as suggested retail price of $29.99 per bottle. You can find out more about it on their website if you choose to. The page states that they have been named the, quote, best non-alcoholic spirit brand by the 2025 Rolling Stone Spirit Awards. And they are also been named the best non-alcoholic agave spirit of 2025 by the New York International Spirits Competition. How much competition do they really have in the non-alcoholic tequila market?
Pretty sure it's going to be 0.
This is literally, I will tell you this right now, this is literally the first brand that I have ever heard. Yes, I've heard of non-alcoholic beers. I've never heard of a non-alcoholic spirit.
I haven't either.
Hey, as the old saying goes, you find a hole, you fill it.
True.
Question is how deep is that hole?
That's a good question.
I ain't got the answer.
I don't either. Me neither.
Non-alcoholic tequila. Okay. Well, there we go. Let's switch our attention from Formula One to our own IndyCar series here in the United States of America. And Welcome Back was the theme song for the 1970 sitcom Welcome Back, Kotter. Kids, ask your grandparents. But you might forgive Romain Grosjean if he was singing that song this week. He is not returning, by the way, to Formula One. His first IndyCar home is where he's returning. Romain Grosjean is signed with Dale Coyne Racing. He's going to drive the number 18 Honda-powered entry with sponsorship from Bitcoin Max and Only Bulls, 2 financial companies. This is the team that Grosjean signed with in 2021 after his F1 career ended at Haas F1, and he came over to the United States to continue his motorsports career. He will pair and be a mentor to rookie Dennis Hauger. He's going to drive the team's number 19 entry. Led team owner Dale Coyne to talk to media and say this, quote, pairing an exceptional rookie in Dennis with a proven veteran like Romain gives us a strong competitive foundation. Bringing back key pieces of our history while building new global partnerships positions us well for 2026. Some veterans are more than happy to take a rookie under their wing.
Sure.
Other veterans won't give a rookie the time of day.
Nope.
Do we know which side of the fence Romain Grosjean falls on?
I think he's right in the middle.
So if asked, he'll give help, but he's not going to offer it up? Is that what you mean?
Yep.
Okay. We'll see whether or not this works out for Dale Coyne. I mean, I like Romain Grosjean. I hate the way that his F1 career ended, and I'm not talking about being fired by Haas F1. They decided to make their own move. This happens all the time. I'm talking about the fact that he had that wreck where it burned his hands and all that. I hate that's how his F1 career ended.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would have liked for him to race his final 2 races in full. So I kind of root for the guy, truth be told, just because of that. But again, I don't know Romain Grosjean from Adam's house cat. So I don't know how he's going to react to this. And I look at Dale Coyne Racing, and with all due respect to Dale Coyne Racing, they haven't exactly been tearing things up lately.
That they haven't. funny right here in IndyCar. Just come through with the social media colleague is already teasing about their free agent driver for the 25 for St. Petersburg. And apparently the rumor's floating around that it is an IndyCar driver.
Not overly surprised by that.
I'm not either. People trying to say AJ, but why would AJ go from Coda to St. Petersburg back and forth?
No, I don't see that happening.
No.
Let's see. Good news for AJ Foyt Racing. AJ Foyt Racing has their technical alliance with Team Penske slated to continue through the 2027 season at least. The teams paired up towards the end of the 2023 season. 2024, things began to see some upside. Didn't really start off that great. They were kind of cold, AJ Foyt Racing was, but towards the end of the year, we really started to see the team improve and their performance improve, and it led to 2025 being one of the better years that Foyt Racing has seen in a very long time. Penske is assisting by sharing data, chassis setups, dampers, and more, and it includes them lending a Penske team race engineer who stuck with Foyt through 2024 and 2025, seems likely is going to be there through the extension of this deal as well. Mm-hmm. How did this benefit them? Well, look at this. Santino Ferrucci claimed 9th in 2025 final points. In 2024, he finished 19th. He improved 10 spots in the final points. His teammate David Malukas got his best ever career points finish in the final 2025 points. He finished 11th. Now, Malukas has been moved up to Team Penske, and they've got a new kid, a rookie, taking that seat at AJ Foyt Racing. So I don't imagine that team is going to perform as well. The benchmark is Santino Ferrucci.
Yeah. That's the clear benchmark.
Yeah. So we'll see whether or not Santino can equal or better his 9th place finish. That's going to be the test. IndyCar has mandated that teams at road and street courses need to use both tire compounds that they get from Firestone. There's a primary tire. It's denoted by a black sidewall. Then they've got an alternate tire, which is denoted generally by a red sidewall, and you need to use each of those compounds at least once each and every race. Well, a couple of years ago, Firestone introduced a third option, a green sidewall tire. This is an even softer compound, but it's also made from the guayali shrub instead of the normal way that we make tires. They call it more renewable. Environmental? I don't know. The primary tire is the base tire, but for all street courses, the addition of the black sidewall tire, the faster alternate green sidewall tire is now also being mandated for, get this, at least 2 stints at St. Petersburg, Arlington, Long Beach, Detroit, Markham, and the Washington, D.C. races. What do all those have in common? Those are the street course events. The softer the compound, more the grip. But the drivers have complained over the last year or so about the rapid fall off of the green sidewall tire. This is going to be a short stint tire, and you're putting this on street courses. Detroit, not exactly the smoothest thing on the planet. St. Petersburg is okay. We still don't know enough about the Washington, D.C. course. I know nothing about Markham. And I don't know a whole lot about Arlington, truth be told. I don't know how smooth it is. Long Beach is kind of worn in. Detroit is about as bumpy as one could ever hope for.
Those roads around Arlington are semi-abrasive.
So these things, when they fall off, they're going to have a massive fall off. And again, they're requiring 2 stints. That means you're going to be doing a lot more pitting this year at the street courses than you saw last year.
Right.
I don't know if that's a good deal, is it?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure that's the best thing that they could do. The tire compound is a bit different from what's going to be used at other ovals. And then for those 2 relatively flat tracks, they've done some things as well here. So here's the deal. Out in Phoenix, they were doing testing for the preseason. Firestone is doing some stuff as well. How is it going? Well, first of all, let's talk about speeds. David Malukas and his Team Penske teammate Joseph Newgarden topped day 1 of the speed charts. Both drivers topped 172 miles per hour, 172.605 for Malukas. So obviously he's got very comfortable over at his new ride at Team Penske. Newgarden, again, the only other driver to top 172 on day 1 of practice. 25 drivers participated day 1. Big difference from 1st to 25th. 25th was rookie Caio Collet. He in the AJ Foyt Racing number 4 entry 162.474 miles per hour. That's over 10 miles per hour slower than Malukas' posted speed. Now, I don't know whether there was a problem with the car or whether Collette's just not comfortable enough yet.
I don't think he's comfortable enough yet.
And I would tend to lean that way. Day 2 of testing for IndyCar at Phoenix, which was open to the public, saw speeds increase. Ed Carpenter Racing's Alexander Rossi posted the fastest speed of that day, 174.542. That was in the afternoon session. He was also the fastest in the morning, 174.444. Once again, 25 drivers taking part, and the quickest speeds for all of them. It shows that things were a little closer than day 1. Rossi's speed versus the bottom, the speed of Stingray Robb, 25th, split by just under 6 miles per hour. Robb's best effort in the number 77, 168.579. So Kyle Collette apparently got a little bit more comfortable in day number 2. Speeds increased. Then there's the tire situation here. There's going to be a new tire for Phoenix and for Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. The funny thing is that the tire, and I use the term tire pointedly because it's going to be only one, the right front. They've made it a little bit wider because they're saying it's being flatter. The flatter surfaces of Phoenix and Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway, they want to make sure that the handling isn't messed up. I'm going to leave it to the resident driver here. I mean, this, again...
Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea is to leave it in the hands of the drivers. Why are we trying to make this ridiculously easy on the driver?
I don't know. This is not meant to be going to sit in a lazy boy with a throttle pedal and a steering wheel and just cruise. You're supposed to drive the car.
You know,
Leave the car alone.
And I get that we haven't been at Phoenix since, what, the 2018 year?
Phoenix it wasn't even reconfigured the last time IndyCar was there.
Yeah, but it was 2018 last time IndyCar was
I
at
think
Phoenix,
so.
right? 2018, 2017, somewhere around there. So I get the fact that they're kind of looking at different options to see what's going on. We've raced at Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway. We are fixing a problem that nobody said was a problem. You're trying to answer a question nobody asked.
This is a common thing around motorsport series, fixing something that ain't broke.
Truth be told, I expected more out of NASCAR than IndyCar.
Yeah.
NASCAR honestly goes and answers questions, has an answer to a question that nobody has asked way too many times in the past, 5, 6, 7 years. Mm-hmm. I've never really heard IndyCar do this. But now all of a sudden, IndyCar's jumping out there and going, hey, by the way, we're going to create this one tire, the right front, that's just a little bit wider because we think they need more traction. This hasn't been a problem.
Nope.
Worldwide Tech Raceway at Gateway has put on great racing over the last few years. We haven't worried about the right front tire being just a little bit wider. But now Phoenix comes along and all of a sudden it's a problem? What?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't get it. Two more things, and then we'll turn our attention here in the last segment to some straight line racing and Formula E news. Fox Sports intended to put the viewer in the IndyCar Series driver's seat by unveiling what they called the Fox driver's eye, put cameras inside the helmet of some of the drivers. It was used at selected races last year, Fox's first season of covering the series. This year, they will expand it to have select drivers in each one of the 18 races this year carrying a camera. Not all the drivers will. Only certain drivers will. So you'll at least get an idea of what the driver is seeing through the windscreen. Mm-hmm. It's kind of fun. In addition, we also now know Fox Sports Broadcasting lineup for the season. It'll lead off with the announcing booth of Will Buxton alongside analysts James Hinchcliffe and Townsend Bell. That's carryover from last year. Jack Harvey, Georgia Henneberry, and Kevin Lee will be on pit road. Jack Harvey is a new addition to pit road, isn't he? Or was he there last year?
He was there last year.
Was he there last year? I couldn't remember. By the way, Jamie Little's going to slide over from NASCAR coverage to help out Indy coverage of the Phoenix NASCAR IndyCar Desert Double, as the network's calling it. She'll also be on hand to help out for this year's Indy 500. That's pretty typical.
Townsend Bell's going over to do the truck race next week.
And that makes sense. That way he gets a little bit more comfortable with it as well. I don't have a problem with that. Works for me. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll turn our attention over to the National Hot Rod Association. We're getting ever closer to the top moments there. This past week, they revealed moments 15 through 6. John Force, all over this countdown. We'll detail those. talk about some other stuff. And oh, by the way, the IHRA, yeah, they're still doing that buying spree. We'll tell you the latest facility that they've bought right after this.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. To the Championship Racing Network.
We are indeed back. NHRA getting ready for their season opener. The Gator Nationals coming up here in just a couple of weeks. They've been testing down there. There was a time, and it was just last year, when 340 miles per hour seemed like this almost unattainable goal that just basically got busted through.
And then some.
Yeah, testing has kind of shown that that's now become almost the base speed.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little. In regards to top fuel, when you look at the speeds that were laid down throughout the entire session, on Thursday, Doug Coletta had overall quick elapsed time at 365. 3659 at 340.47. Wednesday, Sean Langdon had the quickest elapsed time that unofficially stands as the quickest elapsed time in Top Fuel history at a 3621.
Wow.
And then on Thursday, eclipsed the fastest ever speed at a 3.695 at 345.62. You got Tony Stewart that run around a 371 at 336.8. Billy Torrance ran a 372 at basically 340, 339.96. Justin Ashley, 372 at 340.8. And the other ones are in the average speed range. But
340's become the new benchmark.
I'm going to say, 340 is the new benchmark. If they get in a cooler atmosphere this year and the conditions, the engine conditions, the tuning conditions are prime,
sure,
and everything lines up, I'm not going to be totally, completely shocked if somebody tickles that or touches 350.
And it's just going to keep going faster.
Yep.
NASCAR, take heed. NHRA's list of top 75 moments now up into the top 10. They released this week moments 15 up to 6, and number 15 got another John Force moment. Again, he's all over this list. This time claiming his 10th consecutive funny car title back in 2002. I find this interesting. In at number 14, I find it interesting because it's not number 1. The actual formation of the NHRA comes in at 14 in 1951. Okay. In at number 13, Big Daddy Don Garlits, running a top fuel run in 1975, marks him as the first driver in NHRA history to bust through the 250 mile per hour mark. Again, we're now talking 350. But he was the first to go through 250 in competition. John Force is back at number 12, this time claiming his landmark 100th career national event win that happened in 2002 in Houston, Texas. Number 11, Bob Glidden's amazing Pro Stock car season in 1979, where he went on an amazing streak. This was after he won the final 5 events of 1978 in a Ford Fairmont. Remember those? He brought the car back in early 1979, won the first 4 events. Then he switched to a Plymouth Arrow. He might have continued the streak, but he red-lighted in round 2 of the Mile High Nationals. In that streak, he won 35 straight rounds, bested 15 different drivers over the course of that streak. Hey, John Force is back at number 10. This time claiming his 1,000th career round win. That was in 2008, became the first in NHRA history to do it at the Midwest Nationals that year. He's still only one of 2 to have ever done it. 2 years before that, 2006, Tony Schumacher delivering what has since been called the run in the NHRA finals. He shined when he needed most. He overcame a sizable points deficit coming into the season's final event, won the event with a then record pass of 4.428 elapsed time, claimed the title, his 4th career Top Fuel title. Big Daddy Don Garlits back at number 8 with another breaking of a speed barrier, becoming the first to pull a 200 mile per hour run, this time in his Top Fueler at Island Dragway in 1964. So it took about a decade to go from 200 to 250. Took us, what, a year to go from 340 to 345?
Less than a year.
And in 1966, the NHRA decided to take parts of the rules from the factory experimental and the experimental stock classes and decided to form officially the funny car division, made up initially of stock-bodied cars that ran offset wheelbases. Initially, it was an exhibition division, not becoming a championship-eligible division until 1970. That was number 7. And in number 6, oh, by the way, here's John Force again. Marks his first NHRA funny car event win in 1987 in Montreal after competing in the IHRA, where he claimed wins and a title there as well. Oh, yeah, he only went on to claim more than 150 wins and 16 funny car titles. Top 5 will be coming out this week. We'll tell you all about it next weekend on the show. DHL and Kalitta Motorsports have extended their partnership. This is a multi-year deal. It was signed earlier this week. Shipping and logistics company going to remain on the funny car for J.R. Todd. DHL been a long-time partner at Kalitta Motorsports, and their brand have had their brand on winning rides for both Todd in 2018 and Del Worship in 2015, who won titles those 2 years. Since then, they've worked on programs like the Race to End Hunger, where they raise funds equaling about 1 million meals for the largest charity fighting hunger in the United States, Feeding America. It's been a very, very productive partnership between those two, so congratulations that they're keeping it up. It's one of the longer-running partnerships in motorsports, by the way. Mm-hmm. Then there's Jasmine Salinas. Jasmine's aiming to bring back the family name to the NHRA ranks after they were out of it for the vast majority of the 2025 season. Selena says she plans to get into at least 10 events this year under the family's Scrappers Racing Top Fuel program. She is planning to be at the season opening Gator Nationals, working on plans to get some sponsorship to help pay the bills to allow her to run the schedule that she's looking for. Again, she wants to do about 10 races this year and try and rebuild Scrappers Racing program into a full-time
She's
operation.
supposed to. I seen she's supposed to run a hybrid NHRA IHRA.
I'm not surprised by that. Probably a little bit cheaper to run IHRA, at least a little on the surface.
Yeah.
Doug Foley, not yet retiring from driving, but he has taken a break from it, moves into a full-time owner's role at Foley Racing. In his place, the team's Top Fuel entry, he's hired a guy by the name of Gary Pritchett, who is a veteran of both the NHRA and the IHRA, racing with multiple IHRA event wins to his credit. Foley said this move will allow him to concentrate on strengthening and building Foley Racing into a more competitive and he hopes championship contending organization in the near future. Said, quote, "I just didn't feel like our team was at the level it could be, and it's my goal to fix that." Foley added he will run a combination of NHRA and IHRA events this year. We talked about this at the beginning of the year. We said we are probably going to see a whole lot more NHRA drivers and teams pulling double duty.
Yep. And I fully expect that Montgomery will be one of the first ones where you see a large crossover.
Yeah, not that far away and pretty much on the route from the event in South Georgia to the event in Chicago, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown, something we've kind of followed, will return this year. 9-race slate starting at the Gator Nationals. Then they'll move on to the 4-wide Nationals in Charlotte before going to Chicago, Bristol, Norwalk, Ohio. Then they'll take a little bit of a break. Back to racing at the U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis, the U.S. 131 Nationals that will kick off the chase for the championship for the Mission Foods Drag Racing Series. Their final 2 races will be at Worldwide Tech Raceway before ending the year at Texas Motorplex in mid-October. As a quick reminder, this is the division that has the competitors running the Chevrolet Copo Camaros, the Dodge Challenger drag packs, and the Ford Cobra Jet Mustangs that you could buy straight from the auto dealerships. If you have or had the money, you could have one of these cars. Funny thing is right now, only the Ford Cobra Jet Mustang is still in production as the models are seen on the track. But plans are in place, Stellantis says, to do something similar with the new model Challenger. Chevrolet, in the meantime, has nothing yet to replace the Camaro, much less the Copo Camaro at this time. So we'll wait and see what happens there.
Cup qualifying is officially canceled.
Not a surprise.
Nope.
Capco Racing Team preparing the 2026 season. They've announced that Billy Torrance, as Matt mentioned on the speed charts just a minute ago, going to be behind the wheel of their Top Fuel ride for the full 2026 season. He's the father of 4-time Top Fuel titleist Steve Torrance, an 8-time national event winner himself, but he hasn't been full-time since 2023. The team kind of backed off in favor of the family business, and in fact, they only attempted 1 race last year, the Lucas Oil NHRA Nationals in Brainerd, Minnesota. It's where Billy advanced to the semifinals. He'll have Richard Hogan as his crew chief, Bobby Lagana as an assistant crew chief. Billy founded the family company, which you see on the side there, Capco Contractors, in 1995. They're a full-service pipeline company based in Henderson, Texas. Torrance family has fielded race teams under that banner for many years. Billy not only has a Top Fuel license, but licenses in Super Comp and Top Dragster as well. But they're back. See how well they do. Kalitta Motorsports celebrating one of the longest-lasting partnerships in NHRA history with Mack Tools. It's going into its 25th year this year. Doug Kalitta is going to be the pilot of the Mack Tools-sponsored Top Fuel rides, feature a special logo for this landmark season. I didn't get a look at it, sorry. And the IHRA has officially done 2 things this week. They officially closed the purchase of Virginia Motorsports Park, a deal that we talked about some weeks ago here on the show. And this week, they announced they have officially bought Atlanta Dragway. Now, kind of like Atlanta Motor Speedway, now Echo Park Speedway, it's not in Atlanta. The oval track, for example, is south of Atlanta proper in the Hampton, Georgia township, while Atlanta Dragway is technically northeast of Atlanta in the town of Commerce, well known for the outlet mall that you can see right off of I-85. A whole lot of other things have grown up around there. Mm-hmm. Facility opened up in 1976. Overtime was one of the few locations that the NHRA went to in the southeastern United States. You know, NASCAR country. Well, they built it upon land that had been graded for an airport, but the airport plans fell through. Interestingly, the control tower, the initial one that was built, was turned into the timing tower. If you're on CRN Live on YouTube, you can see what it evolved into, but even that now is gone. We were just over there a couple of weeks ago.
Yep. She's a little barren, but I got a feeling it'll be growing up pretty quick.
Yep. NHRA left it. Track closed down in 2021, left its future up in the air, but the Banks County Commissioners recently voted unanimously to clear the path for its purchase and its reopening. Darrell Cuttle and the IHRA jumped at the chance. Now they begin the process of rebuilding and refurbishing the facilities as needed.
It's going to need a lot of refurbishing.
Yeah, I mean, we saw where the track was still basically there, but that was it.
Yeah, I can guarantee you there'll be a repave. There'll be a total repave of everything, and I'm interested to see what type of a building goes up as a scoring tower.
Yeah. Formula E has that new car. We talked about this a little bit on the YouTube-only show last week. The Gen 4 racers got a whole lot more output. Not only is the London Excel Center probably off the track, but now they're talking to Saudi Arabian authorities about maybe a longer configuration of the Jeddah Corniche circuit that they just ran. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Could Formula E run the full Formula One course? It seems possible, but it's very unlikely. They would probably do a shorter version of it. Time will tell how these situations are going to evolve. Let's put it that way. All right, we got to head on out here because we're going to turn things over because the flagship station is a NASCAR Racing Network affiliate. So we're going to let them get into what was supposed to be qualifying. But it got called off, as you just heard. We'll see what they have to say. We'll talk to you Tuesday with Cross Flags.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network. WPNG.